On this week's episode,
Be on your guard.
he's Kevin.
She's Robyn.
And we're the
Schwobs.
Didn't know we were playing basketball.
We are?
Sure.
What makes you say that?
Be on your guard.
Mm-hmm. And
A guard.
We're right around March Madness.
Oh, there you go.
Hey,
You know how to dribble? No, you don't know how to dribble the ball.
I know how to travel.
This I know.
Yeah, basketball was never my game. Of course, you got to be coordinated for that,
Ain't that the truth?
of which I am not.
Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't either.
No.
No. I play basketball. I played basketball up to my sophomore year in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing basketball when I was around 8 years old.
Yeah.
And the whole reason my mother put me in it was someone suggested it for coordination.
Really?
Yes. And so to this day, give me a basketball and let me play it.
Mm-hmm.
I do not watch basketball.
No.
But that is not a here or there.
Mm-mm.
And it's one of my lovely rabbit trails that I like to take on the show.
A few.
But be on your guard.
Be on your guard.
I always think of being on the defensive
Yeah.
when someone tells you to be on your guard.
Mm-hmm.
I've been traveling with a friend of mine who does self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
And she always says to be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And I think when we're talking marriage, that's even more important.
Very much so.
So
I've always said you need to keep your eyes straight ahead of where you're going.
yes, but I don't know that I agree completely with that
Okay.
because things can come at
From any angle.
from any angle. If you're
That's true.
if you're facing the camera, keeping them straight,
Yep.
looking this way,
Mm-hmm.
what happens when I come here?
You're blindsided.
You're blindsided.
That's true.
And we can be blindsided for many different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One of the major reasons, especially right now in this society, is pornography.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You have dealt with 3 or 4 guys who struggled with infidelity and that type of
And porn.
and
Yeah. And it for somebody like me who has really worked at keeping my eyes clean of that, it's interesting the many guys that God has put in my path who struggle with it.
and who have asked you for accountability.
Yeah.
Which I think is incredibly awesome on their part because
Mhm.
even if it has happened in the past, they're aware of it and they're trying to change and they know they can't change.
No.
Now, I don't want to get into a whole lot of that per se.
No.
I know for you, you used to when we were dating
Mm-hmm.
and before you met me,
It was a long time Sports Illustrated.
you were.
Yep.
And as soon as we got engaged, you stopped the subscription.
And you laughed at me at first.
I did. I did.
You thought it was silly, but I remember saying to you, I love that magazine to death, but I do not need that one episode, that one
subscription,
that one
swimsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one issue is what I was trying to
Yeah.
say. Coming into my home.
Yeah.
And I just that is such a temptation. And I mean, you can be you can have the strongest head on your shoulders and still fall into that trap.
Yep.
You really and truly can.
And we have, you have a couple stories where, and like I said, I think it's important to spend time on this, but this is not
not the main focus, no.
Not the only thing we need to be on our guard about.
Right.
But you accidentally hit a site one time by hitting one wrong letter.
I did. Yeah.
And I went to the mailbox one day.
Yeah.
And to my shock, there was a Maximum magazine in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a subscription where you got a different magazine every month.
Yeah.
This was the magazine of the month.
And
for us, it ended up in the trash. I know there are other people who say,
quickly. Yeah.
"Oh, it's not that big a deal. They're not naked. They're not this."
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I get all that. That's fine. The Bible says not to be tempted.
No.
And if it's a temptation in any way, shape, or form,
mm-hmm.
then it needs not be in our house.
No, not at all.
And so, and I'm not just talking that.
You're using that as an example.
I'm using the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm as guilty as the next person to say, just because I'm married, I'm not dead. I will acknowledge good-looking guys, but I also acknowledge beautiful women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I acknowledge them to my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I also acknowledged when I almost strayed.
Mm-hmm.
I was not on my guard. We were going through a difficult time. Things were just kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. This is before I broke my hip.
This is before you broke your hip. But okay, so we're gonna get real here. And this is one thing to be on your guard about. And you and I have discussed this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we're gonna get extremely real.
That's what we're all about.
So after you and I got married,
mm-hmm.
your mindset changed, especially 2 years into our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
They say that even after you get married, you should continue a date night.
Mm-hmm.
They say you still have to show love and affection to your wife, to your husband, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This is so true because you started ignoring me.
Mm.
You were under the impression, oh, she can't divorce me, so I don't have to try anymore.
Mm.
I didn't feel special. I didn't feel loved. Mm. I didn't feel accepted by my own husband anymore because you were ignoring me. Mm. And there was a person at the place I worked who was paying me attention.
Mm-hmm.
And who I was flirting with and who I was goofing off with. Mm-hmm. And something happened, and I'm not going to go into what it was.
No need to.
And this thing happened in front of other people.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it happened in front of my best friend, who
also was your boss.
Yes. Who quickly made sure that he and I never worked at the same time, more or less, or that he was in a different room, that he was never up front where I was at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I remember this guy, we were talking with him about taking photographs, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And, I came home the day it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my husband about it.
I remember that conversation clear as day.
Being on your guard means being open and honest when you have setbacks. When you, as a human being who have feelings and things happen, are willing to say something.
Yeah.
Are willing. The whole point, you need to be in your marriage. And I'm going to give 2 examples. He's the example of not being, and I'm the example of being. Open and honest. I have always been open and honest with Kevin. I'm a communicator, so it's easy for me to be open and honest.
Mm-hmm.
He is not. He is a avoid conflict at all
At all costs.
at all costs.
Which in turn causes conflict. Imagine that.
Yeah. Morning, Will Robinson. That is so. Where I was sharing how I was feeling, it's hard when that person who you're sharing with, and you didn't see it that way. You didn't see it the same way I did. You thought I was blowing a lot of smoke. I love her. That's all that counts. I love her. No. No, it's not all that counts. Knowing you're loved and feeling you're loved are two different things.
100%. Yeah.
And so you have to be on your guard. You have to be willing to listen to your spouse. You have to be willing to hear what they're saying. You have to be willing to go the extra mile, even after the rings are put on your finger.
You got to continue to invest.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah. And, we're in a world where we're told anything and everything goes. We're in a world where we're told, if that's you, be you, do you.
I hate that phrase.
I'm in a world where the Bible is our rock.
Yes.
And trust me, I've had a few conversations with my pastor. And he has looked at me straight in the eye and said, you do not have a biblical reason. Now, if my husband, which he is not, I want to make that very clear, was abusing me, in my pastor's eyes, I believe I would have a biblical reason. But that wasn't the case. The case was my husband was depressed for 10 plus years and wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't deal with me, wouldn't hear me.
I, for all intents and purposes, checked out.
And we have to be on our guard for things like that as well.
A big time.
Not only as the person who's going through the depression, but also the person on the other end. Yeah. And how that affects that person and how that it affected our son, it affected our marriage, it affected so many things, it affected our relationships outside our marriage.
Everything around us, it really did.
You shut down and shut yourself out.
And, I look back on it and, we've talked through this particular episode, how we were going to do things a few times. I wish I had thought through this topic those 10 years ago. Because even when you're the one that is depressed, that's when you need to be on your guard.
Absolutely. When
you're the one that has no clue how you're feeling, you need to be on your guard. Okay, why am I feeling this way? You need to be willing to deal with it, and I wasn't at that point.
And not only that, as a spouse, I was working 40 plus hours a week. I was working about 60 hours a week. I had 2 days off where I had foolishly thought I could homeschool my son. And so not only was I working 40 to 60 hours a week, I was trying to get curriculum done in a week.
Yeah.
For my son, which then I passed off to you, which never got done, which my son's a genius because he never really did much in junior high and made it to high school. So, there's that. But
he has always been one that rolls so well with the punch.
Yes.
And I'm thankful for that. For all that he has been through in his 18 years, he really has turned out to be a pretty good kid.
He has. So, and that's another thing. With our children, we need to be on guard.
Yes. Yeah.
They see. I never understood the importance of fighting because I grew up with a father. So the only fighting that went on in my house was my mother fighting with my brother, my mother fighting with me.
Your favorite sport?
Fighting. Yes, apparently it is. Arguing is a sport I love, apparently. I don't understand. But I get why people go, we do not argue in front of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I agree or disagree with that. I think that's up to the household. Here's why I say that.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting happens.
That's a part of life.
It's a part of life.
I think it depends on how it's done.
But yeah.
If it's done healthy, then it's a good thing for your kids to see.
Okay.
If it's done in a unhealthy
way.
Oh,
you mean like my fighting?
Yeah, with the gloves on, ready to.
I don't see a problem with this whatsoever.
Not at all. No. But I think that is where you. She just had an epiphany.
I did. On your guard, boxing.
Yeah. Ooh. Come on. What do you got?
So, I just did a couple boxing classes for the fun of it, and it came at a really bad time where I couldn't continue, but they're always telling you.
Yeah.
To have your hands up to. You gotta have your.
Put up your dukes, so to speak.
Well, you gotta have your, and not just up here, but at your face.
Yeah.
And you're jabbing, but you're keeping your hands near your face because you don't want them to hit the face.
Right.
And on top of that, you're moving around constantly, and your eye is always on your opponent.
Yeah.
You're always on the defense as far as I'm concerned when you're boxing. Both people are on the defense until someone decides to go on the offense. And that's when they see an opening. And that's what Satan, and that's what the evil of this world, and that's what things like depression, pornography, cheating, all of it. I mean, anything and everything you can imagine. Slides in. It's when you let your guard down.
Especially in this day and age, you have to consistently be on your guard. I saw something on social media fairly recent that is so true. And it was about the family being under attack.
Oh, yeah.
It was about the marriages being under attack.
Yeah.
The biblical marriage.
Yeah.
And, it just, Satan will, in a subtle way, slide anything he can in.
Absolutely.
And, I read a book probably about 6 months ago now by Louis Giglio, and it was Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table. And that book kicked my tail. Because I was looking, your first thought is, I don't give the enemy a seat at my table. How dare you even insinuate that? But if you look at so many scenarios, you do.
Yeah.
A wide open door.
Yeah. And we do it more often than we think we do. And in more ways than we think we do.
Oh, yeah.
And that is why being on our guard is so important.
Very.
That is why, we need to be on our guard as children of God, just on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
But as married couples, as parents, there are things, and we have friends who homeschool their girls, which we are hoping to get on at some point. That they've decided the one way they're going to be on guard as a family is to homeschool. I have another friend who her way of choosing to be on her guard for her daughter is private Christian school.
Well, and even in a private school.
Oh, you still have issues in private Christian.
Oh, yeah.
Because not everyone there is a Christian. Not everyone there believes.
Yeah.
But, that's when you have to do your research. But we're not going to go here or there.
No.
But
my point was that even in special settings,
you have to be on your guard no matter where you are
Yeah.
or what you're doing.
Right.
And, one reason my friend teaches self-defense is because of what she went through, and that's her story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But because of what she went through, she is on her guard. She has this bracelet that goes on her wrist when she walks the streets that has her keys on it,
Mm-hmm.
and also has some nasty tools on it.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, they're fun. I told her I want a stun gun.
I see your eyes lighting.
I also told her I want a stun gun.
Well, goody.
But whenever she walks somewhere, she always has, because holding your keys will do more damage to you than them.
Right.
So she has these special tools that she uses, that she keeps hold of. And she's also told us not to be married to our tools. So we have to fight in case. And that's the whole point. If you're on your guard, if you're looking at the things around you, if you're noticing the things that could hurt you, could hurt your marriage, could hurt your family, if you're on your guard, if you know, there is I don't know exactly where it is, but there's a passage in the Bible that says, be careful, little eyes, what you see. It says, be careful what you hear, what you see. If your right eye, take out your left eye. Okay, we don't really mean you have to take out your eye. But what the
Are you talking about the passage where it says, be concerned about the plank in your own eye?
No. This is a passage where it says, you know, what you need to be on the watch of what you look at.
Okay.
It's in the Old Testament. It's not a New Testament.
Okay.
There's a song, I think Third Day, with the same message.
Okay.
But the whole point is, whether it's a movie, whether, okay, here's a great example. Not even having to do really with our marriage. Okay. Our son. Okay. Let's take something totally not dealing with our son. Okay. Let's talk about a game I like to play that you do not like at all.
Okay.
I get where you were coming from. I understand why you felt the way you did. Because of that, I did give up all my cards.
Your magic.
My magic cards. I still don't see an issue with it. However, I do see an issue with some of the pictures. Our son brought some stuff in from an author he had gotten. Kind of grotesque.
Eye-opening, yeah.
Kind of chilly. And so we know, even, it's not just, you know, as individuals, I listen to, probably more than I should, books on tape. I know I listen to more than I should, but that's all right. I love my fantasy world, and you can't take it from me. If I'm not reading it, I'm writing it. But I choose 90% of the time to listen to authors who talk about the word of the Lord.
Well, and the thing with your audiobooks is you do it partly for pleasure because you enjoy it so much, but you also do it to help you with writing styles, learning writing styles.
Absolutely. And like one of the things I've got to do for this proposal, I'm in the process of procrastinating, putting together. I'll be honest.
Your mom always said to do what you do best.
And I am the best procrastinator in the state of Georgia. I think in the United States personally, but that's just my opinion.
Gold medal coming your way.
Absolutely. But I have to take like books and compare them to my book and what's different about them.
Yeah.
But because I've listened to so many books, I'm like, okay, Lynette Easton, I hate to compare myself to Lynette Easton because I can't, but her latest book is a stalker book.
Oh.
So I've got that. Irene Hannon has a stalker book out there. Yeah. So I got to look at stalker books in the Christian fiction world.
Sure.
So
sure.
that will be fun. I think Danielle Petty has one too. So I have to have at least 5 to 10 of those.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun.
Mm.
But my point is, okay, this just came to me. Garbage in, garbage out.
Wow. Yeah.
The more you put of this world in, the more you're going to get out the same. If you're looking at positive things, if you're looking at things that glorify your family, if you're lifting your family up, if you're lifting yourself up, then you're going to get, and you're going to help those around you be on their guard for the wrong things and put in the right things.
Yeah.
And I think that is what this whole purpose is, not to point out the negatives. It's not to say this is bad, that is bad. The purpose is that we as believers in Jesus Christ need to be on our guard, both as individuals and also as couples, because we are one.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says you will cling to your and be one.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Being on our guard in this world and day is important in stepping forward and proclaiming what we believe.
Right.
And we can't do that if we're scared or if we're listening to the voices that are telling us lies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're letting them in our lives. We are not perfect. We do things wrong. I do things wrong. I did something wrong the other day. I did something wrong today too, probably. I just don't know what yet. I'm sure I'll find out sooner or later.
There isn't a day that goes by that we do something that we shouldn't do.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be an earth-shattering major thing. However, even the small things
affect people.
Can affect people.
It can affect you.
100%. It can affect the way you think. It can affect the way you act. It can affect what you do. It can be music you're listening to. It can be a show you're watching on TV. It could be a book you're listening to on Audible. It can be anything, the slightest little things.
So the whole point was not to give a lecture.
No.
We've been there. We've done that. I've gone through some things. He knows everything I've done. I have always informed him of my weaknesses, of my failures, because so we'll close with this. I was with my friend, and we were talking, and I said to her, I am not afraid of my husband ever ruining our marriage. So that does not scare me. My husband would never do anything to ruin our marriage. I know that. I said, I have to be on guard for myself, because if anyone's going to destroy my marriage, it's going to be me. And because of that, we met with a friend of hers, male. It's 3 of us together. He's a youngin'. He's half my age. And she made a comment about his looks. He is good looking. She goes, you need to tell him that, because he doesn't. I said, he's really humble about it. He was not there at the time. He was in the bathroom at the time we were discussing this. She goes, you need to tell him that. I said, I can't. She said, why not? I went right to this. I looked at these. When I think someone is nice looking, I tell him. I don't tell the person, because that could cause other issues.
Well, just like when we were at Market Day.
Oh yeah, and I picked out that police officer. Yeah.
And you mentioned it to me right off the bat, and I knew that was not danger. I knew it wasn't. I knew she was just admiring the fact that
he was good looking. And just a side note, most guys are good looking in a uniform.
This is true. You have a thing for guys in uniform.
I do.
Especially Navy, but
no, you had to bring that up, didn't you?
You were looking for it.
No.
But,
Anyway.
We definitely, it is definitely something that we play with. But even 3-4 years ago, we couldn't have done this.
No, and here's the
There's
thing.
just no way.
He has yet to tell me someone looks pretty. A girl looks pretty. But I would
I've
call
done it one time,
Yeah.
and it floored you.
Yeah, and I
But,
looked at the person and go, "You're right, she is." And
yeah, and it was just,
yeah.
in admiration was what it was. But I have always had a rule of thumb for me that if you look at somebody once, there's no harm done. You look at somebody twice, okay. But if you look at them a third time, that's danger. That means that you're going to be searching for that person on social media. You're going to be searching on the internet, or you're looking for that.
Right.
And that just can't happen.
Right.
So
be on your guard.
In all things. And if you've been enjoying this episode, we encourage you to
like,
share,
and subscribe.
Thanks for hopping on.
Until next time.